Welcome to 1337. Welcome to the future.
Welcome to 1337, the future of podcasts on the human element. I'm Max, your guide to understanding human behavior.
And I'm Sophia, here to explore the depths of the human psyche with you.
All right, so today we're diving deep into some pretty heady stuff, interviews with physicists Nassim, Haramein, and Federico Faggin.
Yeah.
You've been curious about how their ideas on consciousness and the universe might actually connect. So that's our mission for this deep dive.
Yeah, it's interesting because they're both tackling huge questions, but from totally different starting points. Haramein comes at it from this, physics unified field theory angle, while Faggin's had a more personal, almost spiritual awakening that informs his perspective.
Exactly. So let's start with Haramein. He's the one who talks about the holographic universe, right? What's the quick takeaway and what he actually means by that?
Well, imagine a hologram where even a tiny piece can recreate the entire image.
Okay.
Haramein's saying the universe might work like that. He believes that every point in space, even something as tiny as a proton, contains information about the entire cosmos.
So it's not just that everything's connected in some vague way, but that there's actual information encoded everywhere.
Right, and this challenges the very idea of empty space. If Haramein is right, what we think of as emptiness is actually teeming with energy and information, constantly interacting with everything else.
Okay, that's where my brain starts to bend a little. But if that's true, what does it mean for us humans? Do we have access to all that information somehow?
Haramein certainly thinks so. He uses examples like remote viewing studies where people seem to gain knowledge about distant locations without any physical means. And he points out how scientists and artists often make intuitive leaps that can't be explained by logic alone, almost like they're tapping into this hidden well of universal knowledge.
So are you suggesting Einstein might have been more than a genius? Maybe he was a really powerful cosmic antenna? I kind of like that image.
Well, perhaps there's something to that. Haramein takes it even further, though. He argues that if we can understand and harness this interconnected field, it could lead to groundbreaking technologies, warp drives, new ways to get energy things that could revolutionize human society.
Hold on, are we talking spaceships and free energy here? Now that's getting my attention.
Sure.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Before we start planning our interstellar vacation, where does consciousness fit into Haramein's picture?
He sees it as a natural consequence of this interconnectedness. Consciousness, for Haramein, emerges from the constant feedback loop of information within this universal field. It's like the universe becoming self-aware through the interaction of all its parts.
So it's not just that everything is physically connected, but also that consciousness is somehow woven into the fabric of reality. That's a pretty profound idea.
It is, and it makes you wonder about those ancient cultures that talked about things like mana or chi. Did they somehow sense this interconnected field long before modern science? Haramein thinks it's very possible.
It's like they were picking up the signal even if they didn't have the tech to fully decode it. I love that. Now let's switch gears to Federico Faggin. He arrives at a similar view of a conscious universe, but through a very different path, right?
Absolutely. Faggin's story is really fascinating. He was a respected physicist, very much rooted in the material world, but then he had this powerful awakening experience that totally shifted his perspective.
Okay, now I'm intrigued. What kind of awakening experience are we talking about here?
He describes it as a sudden realization, a profound shift in his understanding of himself and reality. He felt this intense beam of energy emanating from his chest, and it convinced him that consciousness isn't just a product of the brain, but something much more fundamental.
Wow, that does sound like a life-changing moment.
So
how did this experience change his views on consciousness?
Well, before this, he was a hardcore materialist, believed the physical world was all there was. But this experience led him to believe that consciousness is actually the primary ingredient of reality, not just a side effect of it.
So instead of consciousness arising from matter, it's the other way around. That matter arises from consciousness. That's a pretty bold statement.
Right. And it leads him to define consciousness as the capacity of one to know itself. He sees this one as the totality of existence, and consciousness is how it becomes aware of itself.
Okay, now my head's really spinning. But if we're all part of this one, this universal consciousness, does that mean we have free will? Or are we just along for the ride?
Faggin believes we absolutely have free will. In fact, he sees it as essential to the evolution of consciousness. He argues that the universe is constantly experiencing itself through us, and our choices shape that experience.
Hold on, so you're saying that our individual choices are actually contributing to the evolution of the universe? That's a pretty heavy responsibility.
It is. And this is where Faggin introduces the concept of seis, which are these units of consciousness that inhabit physical bodies. He sees them like seeds of awareness, driving the evolution of consciousness throughout the universe.
So we're like cosmic gardeners, tending to these seeds of awareness through our choices and actions.
That's a great analogy. And it brings us to Faggin's view of the body. He sees it as a bridge between the deeper reality of consciousness and the physical world, allowing us to interact and contribute to this grand evolution.
Okay, so we've got Haramein talking about a holographic universe where every point contains information about the whole, and we've got Faggin arguing that consciousness is fundamental to reality and that our choices shape the universe. I'm starting to see some connections here, but it's definitely a lot to process.
It is. But what's fascinating is that these two physicists, coming from such different backgrounds and using different frameworks, are both pointing towards a universe that is far more interconnected and conscious than we might have imagined.
Right. And this raises so many questions. What does it mean to live in a universe like this? How does it change our understanding of ourselves and our potential? And I have to admit, my brain is still buzzing from those ideas about a holographic, conscious universe. It's a lot to take in.
It is, and yet there's something strangely compelling about it, isn't there? The sense that we might be more connected, more significant than we realize.
I totally agree. But let's get practical for a second. If we accept these ideas, how does it actually change our approach to life, to the world?
Well, I think both Haramein and Faggin would argue that it starts with a shift in perspective. Instead of seeing ourselves as isolated individuals in a vast, indifferent universe, we start to recognize the interconnectedness in every moment, in every interaction.
So it's less about, like, every man for himself, and more about understanding that we're all part of this intricate web of life, all contributing to the grand scheme of things.
Exactly. And this isn't just some feel-good philosophy, it has tangible implications. For instance, Haramein believes understanding this unified field could unlock incredible technologies, things like warp drives and new forms of energy.
Okay, wait, back up a second. We were just talking about interconnectedness and consciousness, and now we're back to spaceships and free energy.
Well, Haramein sees it as a natural progression. He believes that by understanding the fundamental interconnectedness of the universe, we can tap into its vast potential, leading to breakthroughs that could solve some of humanity's biggest challenges.
I mean, who wouldn't want to see that happen? But even if those technologies are possible, wouldn't they be incredibly disruptive? Imagine the social and political implications of something like a warp drive.
Absolutely. And that's why Haramein emphasizes the importance of wisdom and responsibility. It's not just about developing these technologies, but ensuring they're used for the betterment of humanity and the planet.
Right. It's like we could unlock the secrets of the universe, but end up creating an even bigger mess if we don't have our ethics in check. It seems like Faggin would agree with that sentiment, right? He's big on the whole cooperation over competition thing.
Absolutely. He sees this interconnectedness as a call for collaboration, a recognition that our well-being is deeply intertwined with the well-being of others and the planet as a whole.
So it's less about survival of the fittest and more about understanding that we thrive together or not at all.
Exactly. And this ties back to the idea of free will and the evolution of consciousness. Faggin argues that the more we align our choices with this understanding of interconnectedness, the more harmonious and fulfilling our lives become, and the more we contribute to the positive evolution of the universe.
Okay. I'm starting to see how these ideas could have a profound impact, but I'm also feeling a bit overwhelmed. Where do we even begin to apply all of this in our everyday lives?
That's where personal exploration comes in. Both Haramein and Faggin emphasize the importance of inner work, whether through meditation, introspection, or simply paying close attention to our thoughts, feelings, and experiences.
So it's not just about understanding these concepts intellectually. It's about embodying them, about connecting with that sense of interconnectedness on a personal level.
Exactly. And as we deepen our understanding of our own consciousness, we start to perceive the world around us differently. The interconnectedness becomes more apparent, and we begin to see the subtle ways in which everything is in constant communication.
It's like the more we understand ourselves, the more we understand the universe, and vice versa.
Right. And this understanding can then inform our choices and actions in the world. It's a continuous feedback loop. Inner exploration informs outer engagement, and outer engagement enriches inner exploration.
All right, we're back, and I'm still pondering how these seemingly out there ideas about a holographic universe and the fundamental nature of consciousness might actually translate into a better, more fulfilling life.
Well, one of the key takeaways for me is this shift from a me versus the world mentality to a more collaborative, we're all in this together kind of approach.
Right. It's like recognizing that our actions don't just impact ourselves, but ripple outwards, affecting the whole web of existence. It's a pretty big responsibility when you think about it that way.
It is, but it's also empowering. Both Haramein and Faggin highlight this sense of agency we have, not just as individuals shaping our own lives, but as participants in the evolution of consciousness itself.
Okay, so it's not just about feeling good or having some kind of spiritual high. It's about understanding that we're literally contributing to the unfolding of the universe through our choices and actions.
Exactly. And this brings us to another crucial aspect of their work, the power of intuition.
Intuition? You mean like that gut feeling you get that something's right or wrong, even if you can't explain it logically?
Precisely. Both Haramein and Faggin see intuition as more than just a hunch. They believe it's a way of tapping into the vast field of information that permeates the universe, a way of accessing knowledge that goes beyond our rational minds.
So it's like our brains aren't just processing information, but also receiving it, almost like a cosmic radio picking up signals from this universal field. That's a pretty wild concept.
It is. And if it's true, then learning to trust and develop our intuition becomes essential. It's about quieting the noise of our thoughts and tuning in to those subtle whispers of insight and guidance.
Okay, but how do we actually do that? Is intuition something we're born with, or can we cultivate it?
I think it's a bit of both. We all have an innate capacity for intuition, but it's like a muscle. It gets stronger with practice. Meditation, spending time in nature, paying attention to our dreams. These are all ways of honing that intuitive sense.
It makes me think about those stories of scientific breakthroughs happening through sudden flashes of insight. Like, maybe Einstein's theory of relativity wasn't just the result of his intellect, but also his ability to tap into this universal well of knowledge.
Right. He often talked about having a feeling for how things worked and then using a scientific knowledge to back it up. It was this interplay of intuition and reason that led him to some of his most profound discoveries.
That's so inspiring. It's like we don't have to choose between being logical or intuitive. We can embrace both, using them in harmony to navigate our lives and contribute to the world.
Exactly. And as we do that, as we open ourselves to this deeper understanding of the universe and our place within it, we begin to realize that it's not a cold, indifferent place, but a field of infinite potential waiting to be explored and co-created.
Wow, what an incredible journey this deep dive has been. We've covered so much ground, from the holographic universe to the power of intuition and the importance of cooperation. It feels like we've taken a giant leap forward in our understanding of reality and our role in it.
We have. And I think the most important takeaway is this. We're not just passive observers in a predetermined universe. We're active participants, shaping reality through our choices, our actions, and even our thoughts.
It's like we're all artists, contributing to this grand cosmic canvas with every brushstroke of our lives.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And as we embrace this understanding, we empower ourselves to live more consciously, more purposefully, and more in alignment with the interconnected web of life.
This has been mind-blowing. Thanks for exploring this with me.
It's been my pleasure.
And for all of you listening out there, be sure to visit us at 1team37podcast.com for more mind-expanding content. Until next time, strength and honor. I am Spartacus.
Thanks for watching. Tap into 1337podcast.com.